हूं अब्दुल समद और आप सुन रहे हैं रेडियो चारमीनार 107.8 FM। दोस्तों, आज बहुत ही ख़ास दिन है आज़ादी का। सबसे पहले तो आप सभी को 72वीं यौम आज़ादी यानी स्वतंत्रता दिवस की ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं, मुबारकबाद। यौम आज़ादी की इस खुशी के मौके पर आज हमारे साथ बहुत ही खुसूस मेहमान जुड़े हैं। तेलंगाना, आंध्र प्रदेश और ओडिशा जैसे 3 स्टेट्स की जिम्मेदारियां संभालने वाला हैदराबाद काउंसलेट के काउंसिल जनरल कैथरीन हड्डा आज हमारे साथ जुड़ी हैं। हमारे साथ ढेर सारी बातें करेंगे और आपके सवालों का जवाब भी वो देंगे। दोस्तों, पिछले 30 साल से सफ़ीरकार यानी डिप्लोमेट की हैसियत से आप कई मुल्कों में अपनी जिम्मेदारियां निभाती आ रही हैं। हैदराबाद में काउंसिल जनरल हुए तकरीबन 2 साल से ज़्यादा वक्त हुआ और आप कई एक्सेप्शनल सर्विसेज भी देती आ रही हैं, जहां पर ना सिर्फ यूजुअल डिप्लोमेसी के अलावा बल्कि कई सारी वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट रिलेटेड प्रोग्राम्स भी आप करवाती आ रही हैं। बेहद ही कामयाब प्रोग्राम्स आप करवाती आ रही हैं इस सिटी में, हैदराबाद में स्पेशली। आप सीनियर फॉरेन सर्विसेज की करियर मेंबर हैं। पिछले 30 सालों से कई पॉलिसी पोजीशन स्पेशली एशिया, यूरोप, वाशिंगटन डीसी और रोम में आपने काम किया है और फॉरेन सर्विस इंस्टीट्यूट में आप एसोसिएट डीन की हैसियत से भी आपने काम किया, जहां पर आपकी जिम्मेदारी थी कि स्टेट डिपार्टमेंट और यूएस गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल्स को इकोनॉमिक्स और रीजनल स्टडीज़ पर कुछ तैयारी करवाना है और उसके साथ में अफ़गानिस्तान, इराक और दीगर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट एरियाज़ में असाइनमेंट्स भी देना आपकी ज़िम्मेदारी थी। और इसके अलावा इनकी कई सारी जगह पे इन्होंने काम किया, जैसे कि अफ़गानिस्तान, चाइना, ताइवान, यूके एंड न्यूजीलैंड पर, जहाँ पर स्टेट डिपार्टमेंट की तरफ से कई असाइनमेंट्स पर आपने काम किया। मिस हड्डा इंग्लिश के अलावा मैंडरिन, चाइनीज़ और इटालियन भी आप बात करती हैं। ओरिजिनली तो न्यूयॉर्क सिटी से हैं और आपने स्मिथ कॉलेज से अपना BS सोशियोलॉजी किया और अपनी मास्टर्स को इन्होंने इंटरनेशनल अफेयर्स में कोलंबिया यूनिवर्सिटी से किया। मैं ज़्यादा वक्त नहीं लूँगा, आपका वक्त ज़ाया ना करते हुए आज का प्रोग्राम हम स्टार्ट करते हैं। और आज के प्रोग्राम का थीम होगा वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट और हायर एजुकेशन अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ इन US। तो Ms. Hड्डा, welcome to Radio Charminar, and thank you so much coming. Adab.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. So I would not waste much of time. So I was introducing you by this time. So today is our Independence Day.
Yes, happy Independence Day.
Thank you so much. And I would like to reciprocate the same to myself and my Hyderabad.
Thank you.
So Ms. Hड्डा, it's been around 30 years being a diplomat. And I think almost more than 1.5 years as a consul general.
Actually, almost 2 now.
Almost 2 years. That's great. So, how do you find this journey so far?
Well, my life as a diplomat, I feel, has been a very fortunate life because I've been traveling all over the world and feel that by representing my government wherever I am, I've been able to do some good in increasing international understanding and working on things. But I have to say that here in Hyderabad, it's one of the best assignments ever, if not the best. People here are very welcoming. It's a city, especially this part of the city, is a city which has so much history behind it and culture. And if it wasn't for the Muslim heritage and yes, participation here in Hyderabad, Hyderabad would not be Hyderabad. And then there's the other side of Hyderabad also, which is the innovative Hyderabad, the international Hyderabad. And it's just melding very well. And people are incredibly warm and kind, not just to me, but to all my colleagues. So thank you, to your listeners, for extending more hospitality to me today.
Thank you so much. So Hyderabad is one of the most approached place for visas, to go to US.
That's true.
So how do you find working here?
Well, I don't actually personally do visas. Yeah. However, I do consider our visa work tremendously important. We are fond of saying that 1 in 4 people who Telugu, in the Telugu states, has family ties to the United States. And I think sometimes I feel it's more than that. So the connections are very tight. And the contributions of people from this region to life in my country, it's getting more and more important. And then I see the reverse. I see all our companies. We have 130 American companies in Hyderabad alone. There are more in the rest of our district. And so I feel it's an amazing partnership together.
Even when I was traveling in US, in Chicago especially, I was feeling like a home city there.
Yes,
seeing most of the Telugu people there.
It's one of the centers, yeah.
That's really nice. And especially most of the youngsters would be liking to pursue their higher education in US, and but unfortunately for most of them, their first destination after dreaming for higher education in US, their first destination, they go to directly to the paid agents or the
Yeah, it's not a good
consultancies.
idea.
Yeah. So what would you suggest for such a thing?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that question because it's very important. Through our consulate, we have people who are there to guide prospective students. They don't advise them to go to a particular school, but what they'll do is help them narrow down the kinds of schools that would be good for that student. We have 4,500 academic, university and postgraduate institutions in the United States, and they're very varied. They vary, as you probably know, by time spent in the school, by subject you can study, by geographical locations, by cost. So there are a lot of considerations that a prospective student will want to make, and we offer free, high-quality information about how to get, how to make those kinds of choices, how to fill out an application so that an American institution will understand it and welcome it. There's all sorts of information. So unfortunately, a lot of the paid agents, they don't give accurate information. And the most heartbreaking is that some are even really not honest. And so they'll encourage students to use false documentation, for example, which is terrible. And there's nothing, to my mind, more tragic than seeing a good student get turned away because they've presented, false information. So, and what we'd like to see more of, there are female students. So I'm glad most of your listeners are women and girls, I understand. Yes. So, and we would very much like to see more female students.
So there's a connected question to this answer for girls.
Right.
Yeah, and if they are not so ready, I mean, parents especially, they are not so ready to send the girl child to higher education abroad, especially either it is US or any other country. So what would you advise for parents as to how confident they can send their children to US?
Well, I think a parent should be very confident that schools in the United States are extremely safety conscious, particularly for female students. Every school that takes international students just about has an office, an international student office that advises students on all sorts of issues relating to culture and where they are, locations, and they will work also to give advice on how students can keep themselves safe. I mean, when I say that, I have to say the vast majority of campuses are in very safe localities also, but it's always harder for an outsider. I think, it may be harder for an outsider immediately to know, and so the school is there to guide them. Most schools also have campus police. They don't wait for the town police. They have campus police who patrol, who often escort female students at night. A lot of schools send, they have shuttle services, cars that allow students to travel. And then the communities in which the school is located typically also has a very strong security relationship with the school. So, you have to remember there are over 186,000 Indian students in America as we're sitting here. And the vast majority of them, have no incident whatsoever. And so I think just like here, unfortunately, things can happen here, and people, young women have to be alert and know how to protect themselves. It's the same thing, but really it's a very safe environment generally.
So ma'am, there's few callers are waiting for us. They wanted to ask some question to you. Let's see, we have a caller now. Hello.
Hi ma'am, I'm Abdul Sajid Advocate.
Hello.
From Old City.
Hello.
I want to ask you, we keep hearing about safety concerns towards Indian in US. Is it really safe to pursue higher education there? What kind of measures US government is ensuring regarding safety?
Thank you, Sajid. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, as I was just saying, it's not so much the U.S. government as a whole that ensures safety, because I don't know how effective that would be. But the school certainly takes, a lot of action to ensure safety, and then the community as well, typically. So they're overwhelmingly safe environments.
So there could be another caller. Let's see who is it. Hello.
Yeah, my name is Umar bin Tahar. Been assigned for OCT. So my question is that what is the best way to motivate the parents of Muslim girls to focus on higher education and to generate interest towards entrepreneurship?
Okay. Those are both sort of related and both really good questions. So the first is motivating parents. I just came from a wonderful graduation ceremony at the Royal College for Women, and the audience was full of parents who were paying even more attention to what was going on than the students were. You know, the students were really happy and gotten their diplomas, so the parents looked so proud. So obviously there are many Muslim parents who do support education for their daughters, and in fact, I read a recent study that said in the right now in Muslim communities, more girls are going higher in school than boys are even. So obviously the basis is there. We at the consulate and in my government, you know, we really work hard to promote women's empowerment in a number of ways. One is to encourage women to study in the United States, because what we find when the students come home to Hyderabad, they are the leaders of their community. You know, they often have very high positions in companies or found companies or something like that. So I think parents should really talk to other parents. I know there are many around who have sent their daughters. And remember that study after study after study, and probably if they use their own eyes, they will see that educated women lead to more prosperous families and communities and societies. And it's just proven. And in fact, there are many studies that prove companies, when they hire more women and put them in positions of leadership, the company does better. You know?
The recent one was IKEA, where we have seen around 50% of the employment was given to women.
Yes, and I know the woman who's trained all the retail staff, and they take it very seriously. And even when they train more staff than they need, so that they've now trained women to work in retail, even if they don't end up working at IKEA. So programs like that are very important, and I'm happy to say our American companies have a number of programs like that as well. They recruit women and often form affinity groups to support the women, you know, as they're moving up positions of power, so they don't feel isolated, and they can always have support.
Yes. So, however, undergraduate in the undergraduation level, girls are doing better nowadays in the Hyderabad. But when it comes to graduation or pursuing their higher education abroad, it is still a concern. Should we send the girl to abroad or not? So these are the concerns for the parents.
I can well understand that it's not easy for any parent to see a child leave the house and go away, and the less visibility you have day by day on what that child is doing. But I think it's important to support young women, especially because it does benefit them and their families and their communities in the long run.
Sure. So, and especially when it comes to women entrepreneurship, the entrepreneurship, it's still a less number here in India or so in Hyderabad.
Yes.
What would you like to say?
Well, it takes time. In the United States as well, there are fewer female entrepreneurs than men. It takes time. So what I would say is, and now I'm going to address your young women listeners and maybe their mothers, there are 5 million women graduating who need jobs, every year in this country. And even growing as fast as the country's growing, it's just logical to assume that a lot of women really will find jobs by creating the jobs themselves. And so here again, to seek out mentorship and opportunity, it's very important. But the real message I want to give to your female listeners, and this is true in the United States as well, oftentimes women, and this is not blaming the women, it's just a fact. Oftentimes women believe they have to be perfect at something before they can pursue it. And so they don't put themselves in a position where they're a little uneasy or they think they're going to fail because it's not easy for anyone to fail. But I believe women are particularly prone to believe that they will not succeed at something, so they won't try it. And for an entrepreneur, that just can't be, because every entrepreneur has to be prepared to fail once, twice, 3 times in before they succeed. And if you look at the greatest entrepreneurs, that's what they all say. So I think it's important for women, yes, to seek out mentorship, yes, to seek approval, maybe from their parents if that's what they need. But the biggest voice they have to listen to is their own, and they have to give themselves their own confidence. and they're, just believe in themselves. Because without that, especially if you're creating your own business, no one's going to say, you look a little unsure yourself, but I really trust you. They want to see confidence. They want to see that spark in you. And I believe women are capable of that. And I've seen it with my own eyes here.
Yeah, so the perception needs to be changed. I mean, for every success, there is a failure. So
Yes.
we need to get ready for
Yes.
that. Yeah, that's great. So let's say there's a caller for us. Hello.
Hello, Miss Hada.
Hello.
It looks very hard or seems to be not so easy to pursue higher education in abroad. How do I build confidence of my parents to afford my education in US? And how would my future take shape if I study in US? Thank you.
Well, let me answer the last part of this sentence first, which is how would your future look? It would look great because the United States has absolutely the best education institutions in the world, and we take more international students for that reason than any country in the world, including over 186,000 Indian students right now. The second largest group of Indian students, of international students in America are from India. How you convince your parents, it sort of relates to what I was just saying about having that belief in yourself. And if you have a plan and show that you are capable of taking your own safety in your own hands and your own future in your own academic course, I think that's really half of the issue. That every family is different, but I think it's a rare parent who doesn't want to know that their child is taking these issues seriously. And then again, I would encourage you to seek guidance from our experts at the consulate about all these issues that we've been discussing: the finance, the course of study, life on a U.S. campus, and then have your parents speak, join you in those consultations, but also speak to other parents who have children overseas.
I think again, her question was, more about concerns about being a female student.
Yes.
So how should I, convince their parents?
Yes.
That is what she was asking. There's another caller for us. Hello.
आपसे बात करने का मौका मिला। मैं तहे दिल से बहुत शुक्रगुजार हूँ और बहुत खुशी हो रही है कि मैं आपसे बात करने का मौका मिला है। मेरा नाम अजरा सुल्ताना है और मेरा आपसे सवाल ये है कि आप इतने मुश्किल जो दौर चल रहा है औरतों के लिए, उसमें भी आपका इतना अच्छा ओहदा है, आप काउंसिल जनरल के पोस्ट पे हैं। मेरा आपसे सवाल ये है कि हम जैसी लड़कियां जो बहुत ही कंजर्वेटिव फैमिली से आती हैं, जहाँ पे हमें बहुत सारी रोक टोक है और कई सारी मुश्किलों का सामना करना पड़ता है, ऐसे हालात में हम कैसे आगे आए और कैसे हमारी जो ख्वाहिशात है उसको पूरा करें, जिस तरह से आप अपने दिल की ख्वाहिश को, आपकी जो भी ड्रीम्स है उसको आपने पूरा किया है। हम जैसी लड़कियां जो बिल्कुल स्ट्रिक्ट घरानों से आती हैं, हमारे लिए ये किस तरह मुमकिन है कि हम भी हमारे जो दिली ख्वाहिशात है, हमारे जो जज्बात है, उसको बता सके या हम भी कुछ कर सके, हमारी जिंदगी को जाहिर कर सके। अगर आप मुझे इसमें कुछ गाइड करें तो मैं बहुत शुक्रगुजार रहूंगी आपसे। एक और बार मैं बहुत बहुत शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि आपसे मौका मिला मुझे बात करने का और मुझे बहुत खुशी हुई आपसे बात करने।
Let me translate this.
I think that's a good idea.
So she's Asra Sultana, her name is. So she's from older part of the city. So she was asking, first of all, thanking you for giving her opportunity to talk to her. And her question was, being a woman, now you are at a successful position as a consul general. So, she was asking how I should, convince my parents, especially when I come from a conservative locality in this Hyderabad. So how should I convince my family? How should I convince my this city, this especially community? So I have a dream to become something. This is what Asra was trying to say. She wants to succeed and she wants to pursue higher education. She wants to do something like you. So kindly suggest her.
Well, it's hard for me to get involved in someone's family dynamics, but I can just tell you what I do know, which is that, again, if you don't believe in yourself and you don't display the confidence and the assurance, it's important to convince your parents that you can go out in the world. But it's also important, if you think of it this way, convincing your parents is difficult enough. But whatever you do in life, you're going to have to convince an employer to hire you. You're going to have to convince an investor to support your new business. You're going to have to convince. And here again, I think women, it's really important to just believe and not put up internal barriers. I am not at all saying that the external barriers aren't there. I have faced them. I still face them sometimes. But if you don't have, you have to move beyond them by having that confidence in yourself. And developing your ability to persuade is a very important skill, not just for your parents, but for everything you want to do in life that's worthwhile doing, as you know.
Yes, very true. So Asra, I hope आपको ये जवाब मिल गया होगा. Thank you for asking such a wonderful question. So there's another question from my side. That's U.S. consulate have been actively participating in different programs, especially when it relating to women empowerment. Yes. You have done many such programs in Warangal, Hyderabad, Odisha, some other places. So what is the motive behind this? I mean, such programs.
Well, my government believes very strongly that women's empowerment is very important to create stable and successful and prosperous societies and families, actually. And so we spend a lot of time around the world promoting these issues. And so here in Hyderabad, or in our district, we do have a lot of programs. We have hackathons, that encourage young women to develop apps or to develop other kinds of IT solutions to problems. We have boot camps, where women can meet other entrepreneurs. And then the biggest effort was really the U.S.-India Global Entrepreneurship Summit the end of last November, which was such a success and showed the commitment from the government of India and the United States, and then the Telangana government as well, and a lot of other state governments, to this issue of promoting women, because the theme was Women First, Prosperity for All, which is really a very succinct, a very easy way to say, when women prosper, so does the whole society.
That's great. So what kind of similarities you see between India and US, because one is the largest democracy and one is the oldest one. So, and how about the bilateral tie-ups? So,
well, we're seeing a partnership on more and more levels. We see it on defense, we see it on entrepreneurship, we see it on economic relations. It's not like we get along. I mean, we don't agree on every issue. We do get along, but that's what mature allied countries do. They have disagreements, but they work them out in a framework of support. And your Prime Minister just stated something in advance. We're having in early September meetings between our two, foreign ministers and defense ministers, and he was just talking about the importance today of the U.S.-India relationship, and we all feel it. Here in our district, we feel so lucky because it's just evidence of what you can do when there's a strong U.S.-India relationship. I mentioned the 130 U.S. companies who are not only creating jobs, but they also, I know so many of them have, and they all have wonderful corporate social responsibility programs where they are educating women a lot of times, and other disadvantaged people, youth, in science and technology, and so it's really a success story, our relationship, I feel.
That's nice. So let's take a call.
Yes.
So hello.
हेलो मिस खड्डा, हम लोग ने कई बार आपको न्यूज़ पेपर वगैरह में प्रोग्राम देते हुए सुना है, देखा है, लेकिन आप तो ये कॉन्सुलेट के लिए काम करती है, तो कॉन्सुलेट में हमारा ये परसेप्शन था कि सिर्फ वीजा इश्यू करती है, थोड़ा सा और ये बता दीजिए.
So she was asking about she has seen you attending many programs, some kind of programs which you have attended or which you have organized. So what her perception was कि U.S. consulate means just issuing a visa. So she was asking what are the priorities of the consulate? What else the consulate does apart from issuing visas?
Okay. I want to put visas in the context of what we think we're doing when we issue the visas, which is contributing to people ties, which is really key of what we were saying about the U.S.-India relationship, probably the biggest key of all. And so there are other ways, though, we promote those people-to-people ties. So our priorities are supporting first of all, also we have 136,000 some American citizens in our district, so we support them as well with their needs. We also support those U.S. companies I was talking about with their needs when they need it. And then we have a range of other programs which involve expert speakers, events, cultural, exchanges and academic exchanges. But I just want to speak just to the one theme of women's empowerment because it is a big part of what we do. We do a lot of Muslim outreach as well, and that does overlap. But let me just speak to a minute since so many of your listeners are women and girls.
Yes.
So as I said, we have a lot of activities to support women entrepreneurs, and we hold events for them to encourage, young aspiring entrepreneurs to follow their dreams. We also work on other aspects of rights for women, and notably the issue of trafficking in persons, which unfortunately in our part of India, is a problem.
Yes.
I always tell people, it's not that we assume in the United States we don't have a problem with trafficking in persons. In fact, we do. And recently, for example, the state of Maryland, which is right outside the United States, set up a special, liaison office to talk about that problem in Maryland. So we have it too. But it is a worldwide problem, and women tend to be the victims. There are child laborers also, but in this part of India, women tend to be the victims. So we've done a lot of programming with Indian partners. This is nothing we impose. What we find is we're lucky to be in the presence of a lot of partners here, and we try and support them. So a couple of years ago, there was a caravan that went through every district of the 3 states in our district that reached 1 million people, and it was full of trafficking survivors who educated communities and women and girls about what a trafficker looks like and how to avoid them. Then over this past year, we had an international conference, which included representatives from most of the states of India.
Okay.
And then 4 other countries in the region.
Right.
And at the end of that, and explained what the caravan was. And they didn't all leave promising to reproduce that exact same program, but they were very inspired by it and all pledged to do some kind of community-based programs, many of which are already being implemented. So that makes us very proud, and it's that kind of programming we do. The key essential always on whether we're doing entrepreneurship programs or bringing in expert speakers or cultural events is always the local partner. And here in our district, we have so many, non-governmental organizations and also government partners, law enforcement. So we feel very fortunate here.
Yeah. But in the recent years, last 2 years, I'm seeing more, such kind of programs. But never seen consulate doing such programs.
I'm glad to hear that.
Actively participating.
We like to be active. So my colleagues deserve a lot of the credit for that.
Yes. So let's come to some casual questions.
Okay.
So how do you find India or Hyderabad in particular when it comes to cultural diversity? Because, you might have seen so many languages, religions, caste, or, so much. Does it find confusing to you, or is it good?
Well, yes, I guess confusing isn't quite the right word. I am always struck by my ignorance, because there is such diversity. Even within a community, there's such diversity. So that's where our consulate is very fortunate. The majority of employees at our consulate, you may not know this, but they're actually local employees.
Yes.
And many of them are from, Hyderabad, but not even all of them are from Hyderabad. Some are from neighboring states or other parts, far away in India. So it's great that we have them as our cultural interpreters and guides, and they're very helpful. And in general, when I go anywhere, I find people are so helpful in trying to explain what their own culture, their own religion, including the Muslim community here has been so welcoming to me. For example, during Ramadan, I've been invited to many iftars. We were at Barkas this year for the first time. So different from the rest of the city. So we love the diversity here, and I hope you celebrate it as well. It's wonderful.
Yes. So, how do you like Hyderabad? And did you learn any local language like Telugu, Hindi, or Urdu?
Just a few words here and there, and it's a great regret I have. But it's also just it's a time issue a little bit with me, and I find that I can learn a lot about the culture because people are so, forgiving. So I've learned a few words here and there, but I would like to learn more.
Yeah. But you already said adab. So most of
I guess the little words like that, and food.
Yeah.
And food words. I'm quite good at food words.
Great.
Yeah.
I heard somewhere in an interview that you're foodie and you like,
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do. And I've arrived in just the right city because it seems like any conversation I have ends up being about food at the end.
Yeah. So. And the first question from the officials of Department of State in DC was, Acha, Samad, you're from the city of biryani.
Oh, yeah.
That was really
That's nice.
Yeah.
We spread the word.
That's really nice. So there's another caller here. Yeah, that's it? Okay. So these were the questions from some of the callers, and mostly our interview today was based on women entrepreneurship and higher education. So there's still some concerns for girl education and the parents here. There's a last word, something you would like to say, especially for female students?
Yeah. Well, I would say is that to both young women and their parents, I do hope that the young women have an opportunity to pursue higher education as they want to, and especially in the United States, where we really have the best education in the world. Mm-hmm. The good news is I really see more and more parents doing that. I see more and more young women in schools, and I think things sort of develop in a positive direction that way. The more you see young women doing that or girls doing that, the easier it is to picture your own daughter or yourself doing that. And I have benefited greatly over the course of my career from both female and male mentors who believed in me. So the last thing I'll say is for those of you who are listening who can be mentors, if you see a family friend's daughter wants to study but her parents are hesitant, but it's the right decision, I hope you'll step up and mentor that girl or that young woman. And by the same account, when you young women and girls grow up, I hope you remember who helped you and turn around and help someone in the same way. That creates what we call a virtuous circle, and it's the way that society changes.
Very true. And I must thank especially Department of State, which is conducting such a brilliant programs like IVLP. Yes. And it was really a wonderful program.
What did you most like about it, if I may ask?
Yes. And the best of the program, which I have gone through was, one in Chicago at Northwestern University, where they were doing a wonderful program, especially on criminal justice system. And that was a wonderful program, which entire team liked it.
That's great.
All our 5 participants from India, they really liked it. The way they were doing the investigative part was really good. Because they were trying to, helping some wrong convictions there on criminal justice system. That was really nice. And one was at Poynter Institute at Tampa. And that was really a nice place for professionals. And I have learned a lot there.
I'm glad.
Yeah, I've learned a lot there. And one radio station that was focusing on African Americans in Chicago. That was really nice. And everything, cultural diversity in America.
So I should mention, this kind of exchange is what we most love to do at my consulate and around the world. And what we find is I have never once in my 30 years as a diplomat met someone who didn't enjoy their experience. And so hopefully you'll spread the word about what you learned.
Definitely. And this work of Radio Charminar is part of that. So we'll definitely do more. And hopefully with the collaboration with Consulate.
Oh, you have it? Yeah, absolutely. Be delighted to do that.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ada. Thank you so much for giving such a precious time. Thank you so much for coming here. And I hope you enjoyed the Hyderabad and especially today's interview. So, लिसनर्स, थैंक यू सो मच, आपने इतना वक्त सुना हमें. आज के खुसूसी मेहमान मिस कैथरीन हड्डा, यूएस काउंसल जनरल है आप हैदराबाद के. तो मैं थोड़ा सा ट्रांसलेट भी कर देता हूँ ब्रीफली कि आपने आज खुसूसन वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट और हायर एजुकेशन को लेकर आपने बात किया था, और ख़ास तौर पे वो चाह रही थी कि लड़कियों की बात जब है तो आप में थोड़ा सा सेल्फ़ कॉन्फिडेंस की ज़रूरत है. आप अपने आप को तैयार कीजिए, आप अपने आप को कमज़ोर ना समझिए. जब आप अपने आप को तैयार करती हैं, कॉन्फिडेंट रहती है, तो माँ बाप को भी कन्विंस करना थोड़ा सा ईजी हो जाता है। उसके बाद धीरे धीरे कम्युनिटी भी आपको साथ देना स्टार्ट करेगी। हायर एजुकेशन को ज़रूर परस्यू कीजिए और उसके साथ साथ एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप ये भी ज़रूरी है। और आपको मदद करने के लिए यूएस कॉन्सुलेट हमेशा तैयार है। ऑलरेडी कई सारे प्रोग्राम्स हो रहे हैं। अगर आपको किसी भी तरह का हेल्प चाहिए एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप में, स्पेशली अगर आप लड़कियां हैं, औरतें हैं, तो ज़रूर आप उन्हें अप्रोच भी हो सकती हैं। काफ़ी सारे एनजीओज भी है, तो थोड़ा सा हिम्मत करिए, आगे बढ़िए, कॉन्फिडेंट रहिए कि आप भी कुछ कर सकती हैं और कुछ भी नामुमकिन नहीं है। अपना परसेप्शन को चेंज करना यही है। और हायर एजुकेशन की बात जब करते हैं तो वो बोल रहे हैं कि यूएस बिल्कुल भी सेफ़ है, वहाँ के कैंपसेस सेफ़ है, कैंपस पुलिस भी वहाँ पर होती है। थोड़े से अनफॉर्चुनेट इंसिडेंट्स होते हैं, लेकिन वो तो हर देश में है। तो बेझिझक होकर आप हायर एजुकेशन अप्रोच हो सकती हैं यूएस में। और सबसे अहम बात ये कह रहे हैं कि ये पेड एजेंट्स और ये कंसल्टेंट्स जो होते हैं वहाँ ना जाए, बल्कि यूएस कॉन्सुलेट के ऑफिसेज हैं, आप वेबसाइट पे भी जाकर आप देख सकते हैं। पूरी हेल्प आपको मिलेगी हायर एजुकेशन को लेके। अपने बच्चों के लिए अगर आप देख रहे हैं या फिर आप डायरेक्टली देख रहे हैं तो बिल्कुल वहाँ के वेबसाइट्स आप देख सकते हैं यूएस कॉन्सुलेट के थ्रू। सो थैंक यू सो मच, आपने इतना कीमती वक्त दिया आज के इस खूबसूरत से शो के लिए। वंस अगेन हैप्पी इंडिपेंडेंस डे एंड थैंक you so much, Ms. Adda.
Thank you, and happy Independence Day from me as well again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.